drove the back roads until looking for a goat, because I needed goat smoke. And I found a goat at a convent, and bless the sister's heart, we fed Michael. I never milked it. You know, I draw the line on something. We fed Michael with an eyedropper because we didn't have feeding tubes. Michael walked when he was 12 years old. Michael wore diapers until he was 12 years old. For the record, we didn't have disposable diapers. We made them.
Can I interject? Because I got in on the last part of it. I adopted Mike. I married Lois, and she had Mike and an older boy, Darren, and Mike's adopted. But I missed all those early fun years. I remember the first time I saw Mike, he was in a full cast from his waist all the way down his legs with one of those bars across. Because I guess he just had that operation where they flipped his ankles. Whatever. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it.
Achilles tendon lengthening. I'm sure that most of you have done it.
Yeah. And I just remember, big smile, curly hair, big cast. You know, yes, Mama. Yes, Mama. And then,
and this is what's going to happen to you.
I've been 24 years with Mike.
And this.
I just had a little history, and I don't want to steal your thunder. Okay. A couple things. I used to go out to visit Lois because I became enamored with Lois. Because she lived in Costello, Idaho, which is about a 2.5, 3-hour drive from Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where I live. But I knew her nephew, and because Lois is adopted too, her nephews and nieces were approximately the same age as her. Okay? So I knew her nephew Kevin, who was a good friend of mine, and that's how I met Lois. And so I used to drive up to Costello every once in a while to say hello. And I was up there one day, and I took the boys, Darren, who was Mike's older brother, and Mike over to Taco Bell to eat. Now, Mike had chronic constipation, which means he didn't go to the bathroom. He used to go every 3 months to the hospital and get enemas to clear him out because he couldn't pass the stool. He had, what do they call it, megacolon?
He has Hirschsprung's disease.
Okay, so
I'm sure that some of your children have Hirschsprung's disease.
So it's hard for him to pass stool. So every 3 months to the hospital, a bunch of enemas to clear him out. Oh, the receiving blankets. That's what we used as diapers. That's what I was getting to. Receiving blankets. That big. And we used to use those big things and stick them in soap.
Big safety pins?
Big safety pins. And man, we used to just get it as tight as we could because we didn't want him to leak. You know, because he couldn't pass the solid, but he'd still pass that liquid.
You know, the liquid would go around and we had a tasty mess, I'm sure that all of you.
Yeah.
So now you get to throw it away and we washed it.
Before I used to put those, almost cut off the circulation. Putting those pins in. But anyway, we went over to Taco Bell and we were walking back, and Mike, this is one of the first earliest memories. He had to go to the bathroom on the way back from Taco Bell.
They had walked.
We had walked. And it was time for him to go. And so it was a little subdivision, and I don't know why I find stuff like this amusing, but he sat down right in the middle of the street.
They're about 4 blocks from home.
So we walked home. He's walking home. I get home, and I wasn't married to her, and I was just visiting. I get to the house, and it's like, where is your mother? She's not there. So
She knew.
I saw breaking his right.
I cleaned up Mike and stuff and learned how to. I guess when she knew she had a keeper. Okay. There was another. I told you about diaper days. Toothpaste, and I want to tell you about this. Two. We took, because I know you guys go through this, they don't have the same kind of nervous system we do. And Mike had been to a little church camp. And it was Sunday morning, and the Pentecostal church used to drive the bus and pick him up and take him to the church service and then bring him back home.
An hour of freedom.
Yeah.
Okay?
They would do that. So we get Mike ready, and he's getting ready, kind of, putting his shoes on and stuff like that. And he complains, "Oh boy, my shoe sure feels funny." Well, the bus comes, we send him off. Okay. He comes back home, and I kid you not, I took off his shoe after this church service. He had a tube of toothpaste. He had been to church with that tube of toothpaste in his shoe. Because he just got back from camp, and I guess he stuck it in there.
And he walked on it.
He doesn't complain much. Okay. I don't know how you guys are doing on training. I don't know if your children go to the bathroom. One of the best things I ever did was I had to talk with Mike one day. Like I said, he was wearing diapers until he was 12. And I sat him down one day and I said, "Mike, you're a big boy now. You're not going to wear diapers. You're going to wear underwear like us men in the family." Okay. And something clicked. And from that day forward, he didn't wear a diaper again. And he got control. It's just like somebody had to tell him.
But not Mom.
But not Mom, yeah. Something like that. So I thought that was real interesting. I'm just giving you little tidbits. And we always used to have a saying at our house, we wish Mike would talk. Careful what you read for. And I wanted to mention one other thing about my other son, Luke. Luke's an Eagle Scout with the Silver Bronze Palm, and I'm very proud of that fact. So I just want to let you know that Luke's an Eagle Scout. Okay. Our families are different, and we know we're different too. We're not like other families. I mean, we have relationships and friendships with other families like ours. But your family is different and it's special. And I wanted to speak a little bit about my feelings now that Mike is 35 years old. I talk about burden. You should talk about burden. Sometimes I feel burdened. Because ever since I adopted Mike, it's like a hero worship. Mike worships me. I'm his dad. And I adopted him. And it gets very difficult for me sometimes because of that dependence. I really don't know how to describe it, but sometimes it's almost like a burden to me because he looks up to me, and then I got to be nice all the time, Okay. Okay. And, after being with him, we call Mike the Energizer Bunny because he just keeps going and going and going and going. He has a job. He works at a sheltered workshop. So Mike gets up at 6 o'clock every day. He catches the bus and rides transportation. We've taught him to ride the bus. And he has bus tickets. He'll get on the bus at 7. He'll ride the bus for an hour to an hour and a half into work. he'll work at the shelter and workshop, and then he'll come home, and he usually gets home at 5 or after, and rides the bus home. He makes me mad. Because in the morning, he's happy to go to work. He's every day he's happy to go to work. Can't stand it. And then every night, and this is hard for me because every night he comes home, and he's a working man now, just like his dad. So every night he wants to come home and tell me what he's done. And he has done the same thing for 10 years. And he wants to tell me about it, and I'm going to scream at the children what he's done. But then I take one of those deep, cleansing breaths. And he tells me what he's done. We expect Mike to pull his weight around the house. He has chores. He does the dishes after dinner. He empties the trash on Saturdays in the whole house. He's responsible for dusting and cleaning his room. Like Luke said, Mike lives with us. I don't live with Mike. And he's part of the family. He has to do what he needs to do, be part of that family unit. That's what we expect. And he's very good at meeting those expectations. The only problem is he likes to cut corners. He's not quite as bad. Because with Mike, I think you're dealing with like a preteen, about 11, 12-year-old. You know, and you give them a task or something, and they'll do it, but they won't do it like an adult. You know, they'll cut corners, or they'll dust this piece of furniture. Oh, that's good enough, you know, stuff like that. And so that gets frustrating for me sometimes because, you know, you constantly have to remind them what to do. You know, it's that constant repetition. Do I need to talk louder? I don't think I can talk much louder.
Or much longer.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go over. Mike needs constant. I find that Mike needs constant stimulation because, you know, back in the educational system, it was what behavior modification, B.F. Skinner. And every time they did something, they got a reward. And so they grow up. I think a lot of his through his education. Every time he did something, he expected to be rewarded. You know, and sometimes I don't think that's a real good thing. Sometimes you just have to do things without a reward. You know, your reward, gratification comes later. Okay. Sometimes I think Mike is fortunate because I think he uses every bit of his ability that God gave him to function in this world. And how many of us can say that? How many of us can look at ourselves and say, I'm using everything I got. And using every bit of talent I got, I'm using every bit of energy and strength I've got to get along. And I think Mike is fortunate in that respect because I think where some of us are like 50 or 60 percenters, I think Mike's about a 90 percenter. Okay? Because he uses everything he has to make it in this world.